Here's a professionally made but unnecessary intro. So let's talk about figs. Let's talk about figs.
Here we are in the main orchard, August 24th, 2025, Oregon Zone 9A. And just out here injecting some mycorrhiza water into a lot of my air layers that are a little bit dried out from some of the significant heat we've had over the last couple of weeks. And I came out and noticed my little Olympian. So, when you look at this tree, what you should immediately think of is that this tree is from a tissue culture. And how do I know that? Well, other trees don't have all this central growth at the bottom. A tissue culture tree does. And so, for those of you who don't understand, a lot of trees are propagated from cuttings, and some trees are propagated in a lab where literally they're isolating the cells of the tree, slowly growing it out. And what this does is theoretically helps with FMV or other disease prevention, but also makes it have a very unique rooting system. So, what's the downside? Well, they grow extremely slowly. This tree, believe it or not, is 5 years old, and I've never pruned it. It came as a 4-inch pot, I think from Territorial Seed Company that my wife just kind of bought, and it sat inside for a while, and then I moved it outside, up potted it, and it just kind of did its thing. And the ironic thing is, I guess not ironic, it's scientifically cool, is if I actually took a cutting from a branch from a tissue culture tree and I rooted it, it would have none of the tissue culture characteristics in terms of its root structure. So the superstructure above the root isn't really what tissue culture is about. It's about the root system. Now, all that being said, this thing has never given me fruit, and now, second year in ground, fifth year being alive, we have an Olympian. And let's go and taste this slightly dried out but delectable looking fruit. All right, we're going to take our first look at a. Wait a minute, that's a Meyer lemon. Let's take a first look at Olympian. And this is the first time I'm tasting this particular fig. It is, obviously one of the more commonly known figs. Let's get a weight on this fig and see what it shows. It's a decent sized fig. I'm going to guess like, 50, 60 grams. 62 grams, so decent sized fig. I had an organza bag around it, and something pushed the bag down and decided to peck at it a little bit, so I'm going to cut around that area. This is one of your classic figs where, everyone knows about it and everyone's heard of it. So I'm going to have to cut around this a little creatively. Let's go down the middle there. Pretty. And I'm going to just do a wedge biopsy and remove the diseased portion. Fling that, and it landed inside of my canadria. So I'll go fetch that later. Pretty delicate skin. Very pretty. I have no idea if this is going to be worth tasting because, like I said, it's off of a tissue culture. It's the first time I've tasted it on a young. It's never fruited before, and now it's fruiting. So it's pretty. Kind of looks like an Olympian. Let me load up the Brix meter with some figgy goodness. There's almost no syrup in this. I mean, it's very, very thick. All right, so this is my first taste of Olympian.
No
Okay, so before I get into the tasting, this wasn't particularly sweet. I'm going to say this is like 14, 15. Oops, let me cover that up. Let me turn it off. That's what happens when you have too much light exposure. So let's cover it up. Yeah, 13.3. So not too far off. That's what it tastes. It doesn't taste super, super sweet. So what does this taste like to me? It tastes figgy. I mean, it's a little bit sweet, but mostly it's just figgy with a little bit of grass. I mean, I think it's an immature fig, even though it was perfectly ripe. It's not super complex. It's meaty. It's like not tough, but it tastes it's so dense in your mouth that it's a meaty type of fig, but it's figgy. The best way I can describe it. I don't get a lot of notes. There's almost no seed crunch. Delicate skin. Pleasant. It's pleasant. Um, I mean, I can see why people would like this. It's one that's very easy to grow in basically any climate. It had a closed eye, so there was no, I think it's kind of resistant to many of the different things that people don't like about certain kinds of figs. It's a nice fig. And because I've invested 5 years of my life watching this little thing grow from a little 4-inch bonsai looking tissue culture fig into a couple feet high bonsai tissue culture looking fig, I'm just going to keep it around. I might take a cutting from it this year and grow it up and see if I can outpace it in growth by having one in a pot. But again, for the Pacific Northwest, should you grow this if you're beginning with figs? Absolutely. You should grow it. You can put it in the ground. You can put it in a pot. It's a nice fig, and even for kind of a weird tissue culture fig, it had a nice mouthfeel and nice figgy flavor. And maybe that flavor profile will change as the tree matures, but I didn't get a lot of complexity out of this fig. Still, a fig just went in my mouth, and I can't complain. See y'all later.